Hi, I'm Adam, and this is a story of how I was able to drive a D1 driver's car in Japan.
You're listening to the Still 80 Mania podcast. I'm your host, Benson Sue, and this is Storytime. Today's guest is from Atlanta, Georgia. If you follow cool Japanese car culture stuff on IG and YouTube, you might already be familiar with him, but you've never heard his name. He is Understeer King on IG and YouTube and also helps run the Final Bout IG as well. Adam Goodman, welcome to the podcast, man.
Hey, what's going on?
How's it going?
Pretty good, man. It's a nice day outside. Having a great one.
Oh, good, good. It's the weekend. I don't know about you, but it's hot as hell here in LA. It's like 94 degrees. I'm inside blasting the AC, but how's it over there?
It's a really nice spring day. I'd say it's about like 75 right now, which is pretty
That's
nice for
nice.
Georgia. Normally we have a lot of humidity, so I'll take
Yeah.
this weather any day.
Hey, 75, that's what spring is supposed to be. I don't know what we're doing out here in LA. Things are not right.
The greenhouse gases. Just kidding.
Yeah, yeah, it's all the bad things we're doing. Um, for the people that don't, let us know a little bit about yourself, what you do, what do you do on your social media account, Understeer King?
Basically, I started my Instagram, Understeer King. This is a way to help track all the old videos or experiences I've had while growing up in drifting and other motorsports. And then just by chance, it just kind of just caught on. I didn't really expect people to enjoy these stories or anything like that, but they kind of did. And it's kind of cool. I met a lot of cool, interesting people like yourself.
Yeah, and you've always been real nice. And when I don't know how I found your page, but when I discovered it, I was just like, yeah, man, like this guy posts all the stuff that I love, all the old stuff from the 90s and the early 2000s, and it's everything. It's scans from magazines, it's videos, like old option videos, it's kind of just like everything. How do you just have a mass of just hoarded media at your house, or like where's all this stuff come from?
Yes, I pretty much don't. As sad as it sounds, I don't throw anything away, unless
Yeah,
I do throw away junk. To get me wrong, but things that were meant a lot to me growing up or gifts, I tend to
yeah.
keep, and I just take really good care of them all, and I like to share them all with people, not gatekeep.
Yeah, it's dope. I think that's the best part is because you you are very. I can tell you're curating what you put out there, right? You're not just putting out everything. You're putting out the stuff that means something to you, and so I can kind of tell what you're into based on the stuff that you post. It's not always drifting stuff, like even though that's the stuff that I love. But I mean, I think when I got into cars, it was a little bit of everything. It was because it was early drift days, I was also into drag, like the cool stuff they were doing in Japan with drag racing or,
Yeah, I love Zero
yeah,
Gun. Zero Gun is awesome.
Zero Yon, yes. And okay, so you said Zero Yon like you're an otaku, right? You know about Japanese culture. It's not just drag racing. You don't say quarter mile. In Japan, they say Zero Yon.
Yeah, there are a lot of Japanese elementary schools here in Georgia because we have a lot of the factories like Fuji. We have
Oh,
Fuso, Yamaha,
I
Kawasaki.
didn't know that.
Yeah, there are a lot of those companies that are here. As I say, corporate sides. We also have some
Okay.
Nissan branches. So some of the families come here temporarily, and they don't want their it's not students, excuse me, their children to forget Japanese customs or the language, so they have them go to school on Saturday. There's a couple locations. There's one in a city called Smyrna, one in DeKalb, and one in
Mm-hmm.
Gwinnett. And
Okay.
once a year they have a big festival. It's pretty cool to go to Japan Fest.
Nice.
But that's how I pretty much got involved with Japanese culture. My mom is an ESOL teacher, so she teaches
Okay.
students from other countries English. So in the
Oh,
early
okay.
90s, she taught in DeKalb County, and that's how she got a
Okay.
lot of students. And she would take me along on Saturdays, and as a little kid. And at first, I didn't want to go because I couldn't talk to anyone.
Yeah.
So eventually, being a little kid, I think helped out a lot. I was able to communicate and go to a lot of the classes. It was really fun. I went there from when I was 4 years old, which was about 11.
Your mom was speaking English, but you went to these schools and you were learning Japanese?
Yes, because she knows the importance of like learning how other cultures are. Just
That's great.
knowledge is power, as they say. And
That's
while she
right.
taught them English, she had me in their regular classes. And like again, I hated it as a kid at first.
Yeah.
But then I
Yeah.
realized, man, like all their toys are better than ours. Like everything
Right.
is better. Their comic books or manga is better. Their cartoons or anime was better. And I was like, man, this is really cool. And everyone's really friendly and open.
When you say that she brought you to events, was that here in the States or was it somewhere else?
Here in the States, yes, early on, because it was when I was a little kid. Um,
Okay.
and at the time, we didn't have much money. As a single mom and everything, and teacher
Yeah.
salary. But
Yeah.
she'd take me to everything she could. So drag races, air
That's
shows, because I was really into
awesome.
jets and airplanes.
Um, so she brought you to a lot of events here in the States, but I also know that you spent some time in Japan.
Oh, yes, I can tell you how we got to Japan. So I used to know a guy that moved out to LA to work for GIC Magic, and his name was Kerry. And right after Formula D
Okay.
2006, they had a World Time Attack event at Road Atlanta. So I
Mm-hmm.
went up there to visit him, and there was nobody there. There was like Falcon Tide was there, Takayama was interested enough there, and GIC and a couple other Time Attack when the events were split because they weren't
Yeah.
always together.
Right.
So I went there, was talking with my buddy in the GIC booth, and Johnny Jadiri was there from Super Street Magazine,
John
and
and Derry.
yeah, and my
Shout
mom,
out to John and Derry.
yeah,
What's up,
yeah,
man?
he's a good guy, really good
Yeah.
guy. He started talking to my mom, and she was telling him how I love Japanese cars and everything, and he gave her her card because every year they go to Tokyo Auto Salon, and
Yeah.
he invited us to go.
Okay.
So she emailed him, and we got all the information. I believe now it's run by D Sport Magazine,
Mm-hmm.
but initially it was run by Super Street, and
Yeah.
we signed up, and she's like, well, you can go to prom or you can go to Tokyo Auto Salon. What did I pick?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah,
Nice.
I did not give a crap about anything. That was all cars. I didn't have a
Right.
girlfriend until like I was out of high school. But yeah, it was all
Yeah.
cars. So
Yeah.
we went over to Tokyo Auto Salon in 2007. That was a real like life changer, I would say. Seeing all the quality builds, meeting some of the people in person. I was
Mm-hmm.
just really thankful I got to experience some of that, and it really ignited a fire for me to push and stay in it.
Yeah.
And while I was
Use some
over,
of your Japanese school knowledge out there and
that helped out a lot. Just knowing how to introduce yourself or how
yeah.
to take a business card from someone, or just be
Yeah.
out respectful, because you can be surprised what you can mess up just by giving off a bad impersonation to someone.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I got to meet while walking around in Shibuya. I met a college student who was
Uh-huh.
studying English, and he gave us an interview, how he likes in Japan. And I stayed in
Okay.
contact with him. His name was Toyoshi Suzuki,
Mm-hmm.
and he lived out in the summertime. He lived out in the countryside in Usanoma, Japan. It's near Nikko Circuit, and he lived
Okay.
by there. And he said, "Hey, if you ever want to come over, I would like for you to live with my family and to see how it is in Japan." So I took him up on that. So after I
Wow.
graduated high school, in summertime, about July, I flew over there and I stayed with him for about a year and a half. And it was really, really cool experience. I got to see everything firsthand. A lot of the racing tracks, like it was so close to Nico Circuit, so we went there a lot. And he had a S13 Sylvia coupe. It had like
He was
basic
also a car
mods.
guy.
Yeah, he was. Because
You didn't mention that.
because I had a DRT hoodie on, and he noticed
Yeah.
that while we were walking around, and
Oh.
that's how he wanted to interview us. Because my mom had her
Okay.
Tokyo Aslan jacket. He's like, "Oh, you all like Japanese cars?" And we like, "Yeah, we love the culture." And he was doing that interview for his college course, and that's how we
Okay.
became friends.
Sick. All right. And so tell me about some of those stories while you were like looking at or going to the different drift tracks, like things that you witnessed at Nico. Like did you bump into any like drifting icons or anything like that?
We went to a couple of events that had local competitions. I would see some of the judges, but I didn't talk to them at the time.
Okay.
Like like they had a drift and Goku competition there once. We didn't enter, but we watched a lot of the cars go. I didn't have a camera then at the time. I apologized, but I sent you a lot of the other
Ah.
pictures.
Okay. Okay. What around what year was this?
This was 2008. Yeah,
Okay.
because I went from summer of '07, and I came back at the ending, ending of early '09, like right when the
Okay.
switch over.
Okay. Did you get a car out there?
No, I didn't have any money.
No money.
I was
Okay.
18 years old. I was just basically
Yeah.
over
Oh,
there.
that's true.
Money. I would earn money from working on his family shop and things like that. Little store, excuse me, not shop, his store. And then on the weekends, which is Sundays, we go out to events or things like that.
Right.
Have fun.
So I mean, what did you do out there to like to pass the time? Were you working? Were you just like absorbing the culture? What were you doing?
I worked at his family's convenience store, and that was
Okay.
pretty cool because people walking in there about an hour out from Tokyo. So when people would come in there, they're not used to seeing someone like me working in the store.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that was pretty cool meeting people there. And then for pass the time, like so we would just work on his car or go hang out with his friends or go to the track as
Sweet.
much as we could afford at the time because he was also
Right.
younger. He was older than me. He was 22, but
Okay.
still you're still young at that age.
Yeah. Did he drive at those tracks?
Yes, he drove a lot at those tracks. Broke
You
up his
got a
high
lot of
rods, things like
ride-alongs and
that.
stuff.
He would let me
Yeah.
drive his car every now and then. I was always too
Okay.
nervous. I don't really like driving other people's cars because I'm afraid I'm going to break
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's because you're a nice guy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are like, I just wanna rip, or I just wanna like they just, people are really excited and they're really aggressive. But that's cool. You're a nice guy. I like that.
Like
That's a lot more like me.
I'll drift. Don't get me wrong, but I won't do anything hard on the
Mm-hmm.
drivetrain or anything like that, or like
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
snatching gears. I always make sure to
Yeah.
rev match and look at the temperature.
Oh, that's nice of you.
Yeah, treat it better than you treat your car.
That's 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 it, man. I like your style. That's the same with me. I'm always very careful when I'm driving someone else's car. I know it's not mine, and even if they tell me like just go for it, I'm still nice. Got to be nice to someone else's car.
Yeah, it's just that's just the way you got to do it. I've
Yeah.
seen some people drive other people's cars very aggressively. It's like,
Hmm.
man, it's like disrespect.
I feel the same. I feel the same. Is that something you learned in J school?
No, I've just always been like that. Just someone
Yeah.
lets me play with your toys or borrow something. I want to make sure I
Yeah.
give it back to you. Because you know
That's
how it
right.
feels when they don't give you your things back. I'm sure you
That's
let somebody
right.
borrow
That's right.
something and you never got it back. You're like, okay.
That's right. Yep. Yep.
I don't want anybody else to experience that from me because it
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah. Golden rule, man. Golden rule. I heard you won a drifting competition.
Oh, yes. Okay. So when I got back from Japan, this was in 2008. I knew how to set my car up. I did all the studying I could. So I bought
And what kind of car?
I had a 1993 240 Coupe. I
Okay.
got it from a gentleman who had an Evo. He bought the car for his wife, and she was the second owner. Back when you
Yeah.
could pick up S13s for $1,800. So,
Mm-hmm.
so everything I had the owner's manual, everything with the car, everything
Right.
worked out. The brakes were a little sketchy, so it was a little hard getting it home, but we
Hey,
replaced
I think
those.
they came from the factory like that, sketchy.
Yeah, it had one lock caliper,
Oh,
and
geez.
the driver's side rear had like no brake pad. It was just metal to
Yeah.
metal, and the fronts
Yeah.
were pretty much
Those
the
rear
same
brake pads
thing.
don't work anyway. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Little piston gets locked. Oh, so
Yeah.
annoying.
Yeah.
So we got the car. Mom and I swapped them out, and I just
Mom and I swapped them out.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
dope.
Well, she had a boyfriend at the time, a dentist named Mr. Trin,
Uh-huh.
and he helped us out too. He actually
Okay.
helped me out a lot with how to put suspension on things like that. He was an early
Yeah.
mentor. But I
Nice.
made sure I learned how to drive the car stock first before I started to mod it, and then I started with
Oh, that's good.
yeah. I made sure because okay, I got that S13 because I had a Civic Si before that, and I was 17 years old in high school,
Yeah.
and I was really friends and I were into Initial D, original some weeb kids.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And one night I was going around a turn way too fast, and I flipped the Civic 5 times. Yeah, like it was
Ooh.
crazy. Luckily, we weren't hurt at all. We walked out of the car, no scratches, nothing. Like people thought, uh,
Factory seatbelts,
yeah,
right?
seriously. When people
Wow.
came up to the car, they were like, they thought the people inside were dead, and we are telling them, no, we were the
Yeah.
ones driving. We are like, no, like I'll send you a picture. The
Wow.
car was like a soda can, but
That's
my mom
crazy.
was like, yeah, since you want to crash cars, now you have to buy your own car. So, so
Was she pissed at you?
no, they were just happy I was okay because they knew
Yeah,
like
of course.
I was shamed. Like I wasn't like,
Oh, okay.
I was
Yeah.
it really, but I love cars, I love driving, so that was
Yeah.
a huge wake up call. Like, hey man,
What was it? What was it like inside the car while that was happening? Were you aware the whole time?
I can tell you exactly what happened. It was wet and icy conditions, so it was stupid.
Okay. Yeah.
We just saw the movie King Kong, so we're like amped up. It was like
Yeah.
2005.
Yeah.
I was going. There was a Del Sol I saw. He had like a strut brace and everything in his car. I was like, oh man, like let's see if we can beat him around this turn. He wasn't even
Uh-huh.
racing,
Yeah.
of course. So
Yeah.
we're going around the turn, and I let off the gas. And right when I did that, the back end came around,
Uh-huh.
and that's when I knew. Oh, and we hit the ditch and it started rolling
Okay.
over. I just knew to hold on to the steering wheel, and
You don't
then
want your arms flying while you're doing that.
yeah, and then we stopped on our side, and
Yeah.
I didn't check on my friend. I don't know why. I guess the adrenaline was pumping. So I climbed
Yeah.
out of the car, and he just happened to be beside me already. He's like, "Man,
Yeah.
holy!" Oh, sorry. He's like,
Yeah. No,
"Man,
it's that's
holy!
all good.
Oh my God, man, that was crazy!" And I was just
Yeah.
riding off the shock of that. But once the reality of it set in, I was like, "Man,
You
I'm
said it rolled 5 times. Did
5 times."
you counted? Like as you were in the car, you're like one, two. Like
I
how do
lost
you know?
count at two. The
Yeah.
Dassault pulled over and was
Yeah.
like, "Dude, you flipped 5 times." He's like, "Are you okay?"
Dang. Yeah.
And the CD never skipped though. Shout out to Honda Engineer Sound Crew.
Uh,
They never
what
took
were
me
you
out on
listening
that.
to? Do you remember?
It was my buddy put in a Slipknot CD.
Oh my gosh.
it was it was the 555666 song, so I think that might have
Yeah.
helped jinx us a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Wow.
when the car stopped, the CD was still going and everything. Wipers were flying.
The wipers were still
Yeah, there was
going.
a lot of glass in my mouth too. That was one thing I remember a lot.
Oh.
So much, well, not big shards, but
Yeah.
when it spikes, whatever the dust goes in your
Mm-hmm.
face from the airbag.
Oh,
So
okay.
all like for the at
Yeah.
least 2 days, I was like crunching around ice. It was not ice, glass. It was
Ooh.
kind of gross.
Ooh.
Yeah, pulling on my hair and stuff.
Oh my gosh. That's wild, man. Oh, well, I'm glad you made it out of there okay.
Yeah.
That could have easily not been okay for
Oh,
you and your
seriously,
passenger.
because like I always think about, man, like I really lucked out because not only did we not get hurt, but think if my friend died, that would have been not only
Yeah, that
terrible him dying, I would have gone to jail, life
you would
ending.
have
Yeah.
that would have changed your life.
hmm
Just the guilt, right?
So that was, like I said, that was a huge wake up call.
Yeah,
Uh,
what did that do to you? Like did that give you a new perspective or
oh, definitely. I was looking at the car torn up like that. I thought about how my mom was nice enough to buy me something like that, and how lucky I
Mhm.
was, and I was just disrespectful and should have done that. I really like wised up after that,
Yeah.
and I totally like she was all like a couple days later, she was never mad at me. She was, happy I was alive, but she was already
Yeah.
trying to find a car to get me and stuff.
Right.
I was like, nah, don't. I was like, nah, don't do that. I'll get my own car this time. I
Yeah.
think I need to learn like the
Yeah. Oh, you're a
responsibility.
good kid, man.
Yeah, it's like, man, it kind of shook me because I feel like an asshole,
Yeah.
Your single mom buys
Well,
you this
that's
nice
why your mom
car.
didn't get mad at you because she knew she didn't have to.
Yeah,
And that's
they knew
dope.
when
I
they
think
pulled up. They were like, oh
yeah.
man, yeah.
No, that says a lot about you though. That's good.
So we first bought a S13. It was a red coupe. It was automatic. Mr. Trin helped me find it,
Uh-huh.
and the train assist was blown. And he's like, we can swap a manual. And then the next
Yeah.
night, he texts my mom. He's like, go to there's a website, a forum back in the forum days called Import Atlanta.
Okay.
He's like, log on the forum. There's a Black S13. This is perfect for Adam. He needs to get this car. And we're like, we don't have the money right now. We just bought a car.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, it's okay. I'll lend you the money. Just live. You need to buy this
Wow.
car. So he gave
Yeah,
us the
yeah.
1800. We checked it out, bought it, took it home, and I sold the red one to my buddy to help pay for it.
Okay.
Like, but the car was really good shape. It just had basic things wrong with it, like it needed a distributor and things like that. But once those were
Okay.
replaced, it was really good. Um,
And is that the black hatch that you have today?
that was a coupe. Yeah, it was a
Oh, that
black.
was
Yeah,
you went from a red coupe to a black coupe.
a black coupe.
Okay.
And got all my first mod was tires. I got some Falcon tires, and I was really excited about that. Uh,
Yeah.
they were just like the regular, like sport. They weren't the Zenith or anything. It was the level
Right.
below that. I forgot what they're
Right.
called.
Right.
But I remember being in high school being so pumped. I'm like, I got Falcon tires,
Yeah, yeah, you had the right brand. That's good.
And then the buddy that moved out to GIC, he had a red coupe. For some reason in Atlanta, there was a lot of coupes for some reason. I don't know why,
Okay.
but
Okay.
he had a red one and hit a telephone pole and wrapped it around. And he just put coilovers on
Ooh.
it, and he needed to
Ooh.
have money to move out to LA to work for GIC. So he
Mhm.
sold me his FLCA1 coilovers for $500. So I
Nice.
had those, and I got a LSD off my buddy's car, Nismo two-way.
Nice.
Um, and that was another eye opener because before then I had been drifting the car stock open diff.
Mhm. Mhm.
I guess I should rewind again how I got the name Understeer King. Okay.
I was gonna ask you that, so this is perfect.
I apologize we keep rewinding here, but so when I first my very first car was a Civic LX '03, and
Okay.
it had full. My mom surprised me with it. I never wanted a car. I was trying to buy my own.
Yeah.
And she bought me a car one day. I was really thankful. It was a blue '03 Civic LX. It had some like 18-inch like Moteki wheels on it, 35 tires.
Uh huh.
It's some clear taillights. I wasn't a fan of clear taillights, but the main thing that was really cool about the car, it had the full New Speed catalog. Like the car had 5,000 miles. I guess it was a
Uh huh.
repo, and they sold it to the
Okay.
dealer. Only thing I can think of. So it
Okay.
had 5,000 miles on it, and every single part New Speed
Well, what did
base.
New Speed sell? They sold springs and
Springs,
like sway
shocks,
bars.
braces.
Oh,
It had
okay.
the whole thing. So the car
Okay.
handled it incredibly well. Like
Okay.
with the tire, it had Toyo tires on Toyo Proxies.
Yeah.
And man, that thing was ripping up. I used to go to the mountain roads all the time with my friends
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
drive it. But they all had rear-wheel drive cars and would try drifting. And I was always been a fan of drifting, but I really couldn't do it because I had front-wheel drive. So
Mhm.
I remember I first learned about, I forgot his name, the Falcon driver that drove the EF Civic. I, s-
Yeah.
I saw
Uh,
him drive in a video.
Hatakeyama,
Yes, there we
right?
go.
Yeah.
I saw footage of him and his in-car footage. So I started practicing. I didn't have a real drive car, but I at least
Yeah.
wanted to understand how it felt to be going sideways.
Yeah.
So I looked at his techniques, how he would just carry a lot of speed and
Mhm.
do weight shifts and pull the e-brake, and I actually got pretty good at that.
He had a good car
And
setup too. I don't think it was just, because that car was that. I mean, I know, it's not technically drifting, but like he made it look pretty
yeah.
good.
So I would actually tandem or follow some of my
Uh
friends in the
huh.
front wheel drive cars, and they were
Uh
like
huh.
freaking out, like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
you're the Understeer King, dude!" And that's and also I'm sure you remember in the early forum days when drifting was so
Mhm.
popular, people had cliche names like Drift King, Drift God, and
Yeah.
I was a realist. I suck. I'm out
Yeah.
there understeering, so I was Understeer
Yeah.
King.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool, man. You're like Keiichi Tsuchiya's arch nemesis, Understeer King.
The
That's
school of
funny,
bad driving.
right? That's sick. That's cool. Do
But
you have
yeah,
any videos of that?
no, but I have a few photos. I popped a couple curbs in that car and had to replace for
Yeah.
a subframe before.
Yeah.
And then I got the SI Civic and was all grip driving. And then I
Mm-hmm.
got back into drifting with the S13 from there.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. That's awesome. That's a good story. I always meant to ask you, but just never got around to it. Good time to do it, on the podcast.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it was kind of goofy to watch, but man, a lot of people were really impressed how I could keep up with them. And I learned it helped out a lot with when I finally got a rear-wheel drive car
Yeah.
because I already knew how to keep the momentum going. So with the low
Mm-hmm.
power of an open diff of the S13, it taught
Yeah.
me how to keep slides going too. So when I got an LSD finally, it was really good. It was really
Yeah,
fun,
yeah,
really
yeah.
smooth.
Very cool. I like that. So I'm gonna ask you some of the questions that I like to ask all my guests.
Okay,
So the first one
don't worry.
is, oh yeah, what's your mom's maiden name and your social
Oh,
security number?
I
No,
would have
no,
lied of credit.
no. I wanted to know if you've done anything dumb to your car as a noob car guy.
Definitely. Okay, so.
But besides drifting your Civics.
Oh,
Uh
I probably say the one of the dumbest things I've ever done. I wanted exhaust but couldn't afford one.
huh.
So, my high school buddy, his name was Robert. He's like, "Hey man, why don't you just unbolt your exhaust from the catalytic converter?"
Nice.
Because I wanted to
That's the
have.
same thing.
So, but man, it was horrible because the car had like no. It felt like it made the car's power worse. Like
Yeah.
it had like no
Y-
low end, and it was really
Yeah.
annoying. And then another funny thing we did, Robert again. No, this guy named Gary, a really goofy guy, taught me a lot of driving techniques. But he was
Hmm.
older than me, but it's like say things to me jokingly, and I would
Yeah,
actually go try him. And
you would do it.
So he's like, "Hey man, why did you put two spare tires in the back of your S13 and go
Yeah.
out and slide?" And
Oh my god, I've never done that.
dude, it was pretty funny. It felt like I had like 600 horsepower, like because at the time the
Yeah,
car had open diff, but I
yeah,
guess because the tires had no grip because it was so skinny in the back, they would both
yeah,
spin, and
yeah.
man, you could. It literally felt like I had like a 400 horsepower, like
Oh my
like
gosh.
SR20
Just like
car with a
spin
KA.
spin them down in the straight.
But that was pretty silly. I'd say that's pretty dumb to
Okay,
do.
yeah. That's good. That's good. Okay, the other question is when did you fall in love with drifting?
Oh, that's a good one. I first learned about drifting from the PlayStation 1 Namco game Ridge Racer. And I didn't know it
Okay.
was a real driving style then. I thought it was just on the game.
Yeah.
So when I got R4, I was like, oh, what is this grip and drift style? I noticed I had a lot more fun with the drift style cars.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward, like 2 years later, there was a Japanese grocery store open called Sweet Tomato, and they had
Okay.
a bunch of magazines and DVDs. So I
Yeah.
noticed there was these car ones called Option, and another
Yeah.
one called Initial D. So I
Yeah.
bought some of the mangas, the magazines, and DVDs, and I popped them in, and that's when I realized drifting was a real thing over there. It's a
Right.
real driving style, and
Right.
I was really captured by how the different teams, the different styles. It was really carefree sport, but they
Yeah.
really still had the time to learn things about the chassis. Like it's really interesting, and it really captivated me, and I wanted to learn everything about it.
And when was this? What year was this?
2001, 2002.
Okay. Okay. Really early.
Yeah, so I had all the option videos, and I remember when D1 Grand Prix came in 2003. I wanted to go, but
Mm-hmm.
we couldn't at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I was kind of bummed out. But I remember reading about how Ueo won at Edwardale Speedway, and I was trying to hit the wall. I was really shocked about that.
You should have been there, man.
Yeah.
That was that was a magical event. Just we were really lucky to be in LA, and Irwindale is like 10 minutes from my house, and so
Oh man, they're lucky.
I was always there, and I got to be on the infield. I didn't have to sit in the stands with the crowds and stuff. Like I got to be next to these legendary guys as they were going out, and like just witnessing all that stuff with my own eyes. Man, I can't use any words other than just magical to witness it. It was really cool.
You're exactly right because it's one thing to see in like a photo or a video, but to actually
Hmm.
hear the cars like clutch kicking on the bank and just seeing
Yeah,
how they're throwing the weight of the car, the real technique
yeah,
live in person is just it's
yeah,
really captivating and so
yeah,
game changer.
yeah. And it
If
was
you're not a
crazy
fan, you
to
will be after that.
exact. It changed a lot of people in the fans that day. A lot of people that went there that had not seen drifting before, because that was one of the first publicized events, right?
You're
Like
right, yeah.
on a really big scale. And but yeah, for all of us that like had already known about all these drivers and the cars and the history, and to see these people in person and still not kind of comprehend that they're real life people,
Hmm.
it was crazy.
Yeah, definitely, man. Because I wasn't able to go until '05, and
Mm-hmm.
but man, we were really pumped up.
Yeah.
Everett has great scenery too. I like that we can see the mountains in the background. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that we take for granted out here. Out in the San Gabriel Valley, like there's just always a view of the mountains, and I I would say up until maybe around then, as an adult, like I just ignored them. Like they're just there. Like they're just always there until I started traveling a little bit more and realizing like, oh, not everyone's got beautiful mountains like right outside their
Oh, it's
window.
gorgeous, man. I really enjoyed
Yeah,
LA, and now seeing you guys' car style in person too
yeah.
was another refresher. Because in Atlanta at the time, there
It
were
was small.
there were a
The scene
couple
was
of
small.
people, but it was mainly more of the Ricer side,
Yeah,
or like the early. I was gonna say Ricer. I'd say like early 2000 styling, Spokum style with the
yeah,
neons and the big kits. There were a
yeah,
couple people that had a hardcore JDM cars, but it was very
yeah.
very small.
Well, it was hard. I think maybe for people that are listening right now that don't understand, things were not as accessible back then. So there
Definitely
were
not.
very few places where you can buy just aftermarket car parts. They didn't even have to be good quality aftermarket car parts, but if like if you wanted some like a Japanese brand of muffler or something like that, and you lived maybe like in Atlanta, it
Good
was
luck.
not it was not accessible. You have to pay a company like one of the couple companies I worked for one called Overboost.com, and if you wanted a muffler, you had to pay. I think it was some insane cost to ship a muffler, depending on the muffler, because they can be really big, right? So you're paying a shipping cost of like $200 for a muffler.
Yeah,
So it made it really difficult to have cool Japanese parts back then. If you were not in a hub of like where this stuff was easily accessible, like LA.
yeah. We only had one dealership here. The Nissan guys had it pretty good. We had one like
Mm-hmm.
Gwinnett County that would actually have a line to Japan, and he would get all the Koki parts, or
Yeah,
they had it all in stock.
yeah,
So we could back. Remember when you could buy the 186 Koki lights, like the whole thing, the center garnish
yeah,
key for like
yeah,
420.
yeah.
Yeah, not
You can't do
anymore.
that anymore.
No,
But they still make those parts, right?
they've gone up a little bit, yeah. But
Oh,
or
okay.
people try to sell them for $1,000 altogether online on like
Yeah,
the Facebook
yeah.
Marketplace, which is crazy, man.
That is crazy. The Koki lip. I don't know if I've told this story before. The Koki lip was available to the U.S. market from Nissan because of me and Nadine.
Really?
Yeah, because the Japanese magazines. What when I mean Koki 180 style was really popular in the late 90s. Right when the Koki 180 came out, right?
Hmm.
But it continued to be really popular,
It still
and you
is.
had people like yeah, it still is. Yeah, you have people like Break Ito, right? And like they would just constantly feature those guys in magazines, and they
Hmm.
would basically give you like a how-to to get this look, and they would give you all of the part numbers, the Nissan part numbers for all of those things. And of course, like I can't read Japanese, but I can read katakana because those are English words. But I had a friend at Point Hills Nissan, and I was like, hey, can you like order something from Japan? He's like, yeah, I can. Um, I was just like, can you just try this and whatever comes through, let's just see what they are, right?
Hmm.
And so we ordered all the hardware, the
That's so
the
cool.
Koki lip, and okay, here's another thing. They were only importing the front bumper back then. The
Okay.
front bumper and the taillights, right? So we got the lip, we got the side
Yeah, the
skirts.
site. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and we couldn't get the rear unders. I don't remember why, but so like those came in because of us. But there's a guy I don't know who. Basically, all the importing went through someone I think in Texas.
Hmm.
So all the shipments would go to Texas first, and this guy didn't recognize the part numbers, and he opened them up and looked at what they were, and he wrote them down, and then he started bringing them in on his own after we brought it in.
Uh,
But so yeah, Nadine had the first
that's funny. Holy
lip
hell.
from Nissan. Yeah, that was cool. And now we can't get it anymore, which is a bummer.
Yeah, I believe they still make the tail light. I think Z1 Motorsports still sells them, but again, the price is like gone up
The carbon
significantly.
garnish,
Like, the RP, I think they have
or
a
just
few
everything.
everything. I think you
Okay,
can still get it from Z1. Because I
okay,
bought my tail lights last year from them.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We know the struggle. I know you know the struggle because you're a fellow hoarder.
Yeah,
The
the struggle.
struggle, man. Yeah. Yeah. You said I when you said like you throw some stuff away, I'm like you don't throw that much stuff away. I can tell.
No, I had a big clean out the past couple days. I went through some stuff.
Yeah.
Got rid of things that don't spark joy anymore.
Oh, nice, nice. You watch Marie Kondo.
Oh, my wife does. Oh man, she's all about Marie Kondo. She look at me like, "Does this spark joy?" I'm like, "Nah, it can go. We donate
That's
it all. We
good.
don't throw it away. We
That's good.
donate it."
I was like, it all sparks joy to me, babe. I can't get rid of any of it.
Especially model cars, man. I'm trying to downsize big time.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I got those.
I
I
have
can't throw those
way
away
too
either.
many. Ooh.
Yeah. Um, you mentioned a video game. I forgot what you mentioned, but you're also really into those old. I don't want to say retro because retro is like Pac-Man, but
Hmm.
like the
It's
early
getting there now.
PlayStation 1 games. Yeah, it is. It is. But like the PlayStation 1 games, I see you post that stuff up all the time. Like you play them a lot, I think.
Oh yeah, I still have a working play. all the old game systems. I just got my game room redone, and I
Yeah.
have all the old systems still working in there. I still play them every weekend.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I like it. I like that you post up videos. I'm like, people don't do this, like video capture of the old video games.
Well, those old, they were just so different than what we have now.
Hmm.
They were really innovative, and of course, my
Yeah.
favorite part, no
They're really
DLC.
good now. They were not good back then.
Yeah, like they.
So I'm glad you still find joy in them because they're not good.
That's funny. Yeah, I like the way you can the tuning in the games, or a lot
Yeah.
of them go really in depth, especially the Tokyo Extreme Racer series. Man, it's
Hmm.
hard. Like you have, I remember having to go on the forums to figure out how to beat the game, racing certain wonders and things like that.
Hmm.
It'd be at this time of day or this many miles. Like, damn, this game's
That's
really
right.
detailed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That that game was not good either.
Oh man,
I
I
remember
love that game. I could play that
I
game
remember
for
a lot of
hours.
I remember enjoying a lot of these old games, but I try and play them now, and I'm like, I can't play them now, just because games have come so far.
I restart a campaign almost every year. I can't get enough of
That's
it.
sweet. That's cool. I like it.
It's fun. Yeah, I try to use a different car every time, and there's actually a really good Facebook following of the game too. That's
Really?
yeah,
Which one?
Kaido Battle Racer on Facebook. It's just people
I,
who love all the Tokyo Racer games basically,
okay.
and we share
Okay.
tips and tricks, and or people mod the game, or we share like artwork. It's a really good community actually.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, that's cool. And anyone can play it these days. You just get an emulator, right? You don't need an old PlayStation 1 console or anything like that.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend emulation because they do fix a lot of the bugs. Like in some of the games, like Gran Turismo 2 for the
Yeah.
USA, you can't get
Yeah.
100% because there's a bug in the game. You can only get to 99%. So with a
Oh
lot of
wow.
emulators,
Okay.
they fix a lot of that.
Okay.
And also, it's just hard to get those old systems. They're getting expensive. So
Yeah, like you scratch up your discs and stuff, and
speaking of being a hoarder, I have like 3 copies of some games just to make sure I have a working one.
yep.
As sad as that sounds.
You told me about this time you were young. You were 18, right?
Yeah, it was during
In
the Tokyo
Japan.
Auto Salon tour.
This was with your mom?
Yes.
That first time you went?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, okay. So this was your first time to Japan, and somehow you got a D1 driver to let you drive his car, his
Mhm.
competition car.
He did it. He just got it finished. The shakedown and everything. It had the gritty 6 speed transmission, everything in there.
All right, I'm gonna let you tell it. Go for it.
So I was on the Super Street Tokyo Salon tour, and after the show, the next day they took us to Motegi Speedway for a private event, and also to see the Honda Museum.
Okay.
So we got there, and they had a couple gripping cars and a drift class running group, and they run them all staggered.
Okay.
So I got to drive a lot of the gripping cars, like an S2000 that had an Evo 9 wagon and things like
Yeah.
that. And I drove a Hachiroku. That was pretty cool. But while we were there, there was these other guys driving that were with the tour. That were driving at the time a brand new NC Miata, 2007 Miatas, brand new,
Okay.
right
Yeah.
side drive, all stock. And they were complaining that the car couldn't drift because we asked them if we could drive some of the cars, the
Uh
staff, and
huh.
they're like, "Yeah, just grab a helmet and you can drive them."
What the heck?
Yeah,
That's cool.
they just didn't care.
Yeah.
So they were complaining that the Miata couldn't drift, and they're making fun of the car.
Who are these guys?
It was okay. There was like a plastic surgeon guy and his son. His son was like 30, and I think the other guy was like 40 something or 50.
Th-
Anyway,
They
they're
they were
making
they
fun of
were
the
they were
car.
know-it-alls, right?
Yeah,
They're
they're like,
like,
that car can't drift and blah blah. What a waste. So I was like, I bet you I can. And they're like,
uh huh.
nah. So I hopped in the Miata and I did like I remember it was at the top of third, and I did a weight shift and snapped in the turn, went around the corner. I linked the whole track in the stock Miata.
Wow.
And Kaneko, who owned the 186, saw that. And when I pulled
Yeah.
back in the pits, they were shocked to see I was there. I was a little kid in the
Yeah.
car,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and he was like, "Oh," he's like, "That was really good." And then I could speak some Japanese, so
So you shocked him
he
again.
was thrilled at that. And he was like, "Oh," I was looking at his car. I was like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
love your S13." I was like, "I have one." And when I told him that, like his eyes like just like sparked up, and he showed me everything about the car. He just put the 2.1 liter SR in, the mid
Okay.
mount turbo. He was really proud of the roll cage,
Yeah.
and
Custom roll
he
cage.
took me out in the car. As my
You already knew about this car? Or was this your first
No,
time seeing?
it's my first time meeting Daijiro. Excuse me, Daijiro was there.
Which
Fr-
Daijiro?
Formula
Inada from?
Formula D.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
Yoshihara.
yeah, he was there because it was
Okay.
put on by Razzo, and so Daijiro was
Wow.
there, and the owner of Opera Performance was there. He brought all the grip cars.
Wow. Okay.
So I got to ride in the car. He took me out in his 180 SX, and that was my first time riding in a really big, powerful. He made like
Yeah.
380, 400 PS, I believe. So
Yeah.
it felt like a rocket ship, and I was like,
Yeah.
white in the face riding in the
Yeah.
car. Eh,
Describe to people what the car looked like because the car. Uh, I don't know much about the car, but when I see the car, I'm like, yeah, I know that car. That is unmistakable. That car. It's just.
It had
It's
like
so unique.
car modified Wander Aero, but it
Uh
was a
huh.
little bit. He put his own style into it and customized it. Uh,
Yeah.
There were two cars there from his team. He had a team of eight, but there's two there. His was white in the front, and it had a flame pattern on the side, and would change to candy green. And
Yeah.
his buddy's car was the exact same, but the color on
Yeah.
the back was pink.
That car
And
looks good.
yeah, well, his car, I'll get to that in a second. That's my mom's favorite car right there.
Okay.
But his car was really competition level setup. It had
Yeah.
the personalized Wander kit on it, NSX headlights. Had CE 37s in the front and Workmeisters, the polished ones
Okay.
in the rear, and a
Yeah.
really crazy center like exhaust that came out the license plate. It looked like he said he was
Okay.
inspired by F-15 fighter jet to do that.
Okay. Yeah, that car. I think that car is a perfect example of one of those cars where, when I see it, I don't like it. I think it's ugly, but there's a big but here, and I see this with a lot of Japanese cars. Is that even though I don't like it, I can see I can see the style. I
Hmm.
can see the choices behind why everything is done a certain way, and I respect it. Like it's an expression of somebody, and it's not.
That's very well
You can
put.
tell. You can tell that they didn't just put a bunch of stuff together and it came out ugly. Like they intended it to look the way that it looks, and
Or,
I'm down with that.
or another way you can say they really built the car for themselves and nobody else. Like
Yes.
it's really personal to what they like, and that's another
Yes.
thing why. Like I said, I agree with you. I wouldn't make the car if I were to make a car like his. I wouldn't do it in that style.
Yeah.
But I just love how hardcore and aggressive his expression in the car was. I could really see him in
Yeah.
the car. It's really cool,
Yeah. I agree. I agree
and he
totally.
drives like a madman.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing like fourth year entries on the Gymkhana
Woo.
circuits. That's pretty crazy. So
So you
after
got a ride.
I got 3 laps in the car, and we pulled
Okay.
back in the pits. He goes, "Would you like to give it a try?"
Yeah.
And I was like,
Wait, before that, were you ever in the car with another really good driver? Or was it all kind of like grassroots
"It
stuff?
was all my friends from
Yeah.
school. Yeah, from
So
high
it
school.
wasn't even like someone that was really good at drifting.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of dudes you knew
They
like
weren't
locally.
bad, but
Yeah.
yeah, they weren't pro level by any means. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Wow. So what was that like? Just like,
Feeling actual G forces
uh-huh.
was whoa. Like
Yeah.
I thought I knew like how to almost of the car man when he really threw that faint entry the first time. I really was like,
Yeah.
oh, face was like, in the
Yeah.
full
Yeah.
like Iski and Initial D. I was like, oh. I was literally me in the car. I was like,
Yeah.
man, this guy is like hauling ass,
Yeah.
but it was I noticed it was similar to me because that's how we learned how to drive those weaker cars. My buddies from
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, you just gotta go really fast and
Yeah.
use the weight to your advantage, but not power.
Yeah.
So I saw he was using the weight, and also he had the power to pull it out. Because that was man, I saw a lot of good techniques. I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to try everything, but I couldn't remember them all.
Right. Right.
At
Right.
the
Right.
time, I was too nervous and excited. But
Yeah.
he asked me if I wanted to drive the car, and I was like, obviously, yeah. I was
That's so. That's crazy. Like I don't like people driving my car, even if they're my friends. People ask me, I'm like. Please don't ask me to drive my car.
Like, I would never ask to drive someone's car. But
Yeah.
if they were to bring it up after
Yeah.
some self-reflection of if I felt comfortable enough,
Yeah.
definitely. Because the Gymkhana course wasn't like a racetrack; it was all pavement, so there's nothing to run
Mm-hmm.
into.
Nothing to hit.
I
Okay.
can't crash, so yeah, I'll
Yeah.
drive it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was my first time driving right-hand drive, so I got kind of used to it in the Miata. But I remember when I got in his car with the double plate clutch and everything, I was like, okay, this is different.
Mm-hmm.
I stalled out the first time. I wasn't used to that,
Of course you did.
and I kept missing third gear. Like I would
Okay.
go to shift to third and go to fifth.
Go to fifth. Uh-huh.
I was like,
Yeah.
I have to like
Yeah.
horseshoe it back. But eventually,
Yeah.
I got used to
Hey, good for you going into third though.
yeah. I was like, oh, we're going to fifth gear. Damn it. And I had to like
Yeah.
swing it back in. But after about
Yeah.
the third
Did he
lap,
write? Was he in the car with you, or he
yes,
just let you go out?
yes,
Okay.
he was in the car with me and explained things of what to do. And when I first started drifting it a few times, I would take it easy. And
Yeah.
then by lap number five, I gave it a crazy all hell lap, which I see
Yeah.
footage of that one. And
Okay.
yeah, that was man, that was really cool to be able to go into third gear
Yeah.
and just really ride it out, and then
Yeah.
not having the clutch kick, I just steer in and and let the weight shift
Mm-hmm.
pull me around. That was really fun.
That's cool, man. And
And
that's also really nice of you to like build your way up, right?
oh
Okay,
yeah, I've
fifth
never
lap.
been
I'm
to
gonna
something
do it
that
now.
fast before, man. I remember I
Yeah.
floored it, man. I was like excuse me, like holy this
Yeah.
thing is fast.
Yeah.
Like SR with that aggressive cam, that turbo, man. Like man, that thing
Mm-hmm.
moved. It
Yeah.
felt man, it felt really good.
Yeah.
And then when I came back, I made sure to ask him all the questions I could about suspension and
His setup.
setups and
Mm-hmm.
like that, and what to do or advice. And he
Mm-hmm.
told me to get started. Same Tajiro said similar things. He said just focus with tires and brakes and just overall how to control the car stock first, and
Mm-hmm.
then once you realize you reached the limit of that, then go to the next step and keep
Yeah.
going from there.
Yeah.
So I start off with
You
coils.
hear that, guys? Everyone that's listening, we're not doing builds out here. Your very first car does not need to be 400 horsepower,
Mm-mm.
with an angle kit. No, you build your way up, right?
You will become a much like better driver because you would know how to adapt, or you won't be overwhelmed because
Yeah.
yes, it's cool to have those big power cars, but if you don't have any real driving skill, you're just gonna be
Mm-hmm.
frustrated the entire time. Like I'm sure you've seen people at
Yeah.
events nowadays with big power cars that are beginners, and it takes them a kind of I'm not saying it's impossible, but it takes them a long time to progress as they would if the car was stock. You take
Yeah.
somebody in a stock car like a stock 240 or stock Hachiroka, and they can't do that
Mm-hmm.
anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Or a car nowadays, Miata. Take a Miata
Yeah.
kid and put him into a car like 350Z or something like that. He's a god
Yeah.
because he knows how to
Yeah.
really throw it and
Right.
keep that
Right. Right.
momentum up.
Yep. Okay. Cool. Adam, do you have anyone you want to shout out or anything you want to say? Like any final words?
Well, I already gave a shout out to Danny from Root Mustard Cars Miami. I also want to give a shout out to Simba and Ilya for allowing me to help them out on Final Bout with their
We
social
didn't
media
talk
posts.
about that at all.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I mean, we can real quick.
Yeah, okay.
So, Final Bout initially had Simba, Ilya, and 3L, and 3L reached out to me in 2020 asking if I wanted to assist them with making posts. Because it gets difficult running events where you have to bring the cars over from Japan or host giveaways or things
Mm-hmm.
pile up and you need assistance. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll help out. And then 3L stepped back for personal reasons, and I do majority of the post. It's pretty fun. I don't do anything with regard to running the events or because people are always like, can I drive in there? It's like I can't.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't have that authority to
Yeah,
say
yeah,
you
yeah.
can just drive to an event. But I really enjoy them giving me the opportunity to help them out, and it's a huge
Yeah.
honor. And I really like I love helping people. So when I'm at the events, I was like taking pictures of cars, helping people with tires, anything I can
Yeah.
do. I just like to give a
Yeah.
helping hand. And
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
great
Yeah, and
organization.
you've been helpful to me too. I've had questions. I can tell, you are a social media vet. So I appreciate you helping me as well. But yeah, man, if you guys always wondered like who's posting this final bout content, most likely it's Adam here,
uh,
the man behind the curtain.
Simba and Ilya do. hop in every now and then to do important things like a heads
Yeah.
up for events or a
Yeah.
special video. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'd say like maybe like 98% of the posts are for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It gets difficult sometimes trying to find things. 'Cause you got to stay fair. You don't want
Yeah.
to use one photographer's photos all the time, or
Yeah.
show one team or a driver. You got to make sure you stay very neutral, which can be kind of
Yeah.
difficult, but it is fun.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes
Yeah.
people,
So
you didn't tag me. I was like, well, I tried. I shot your DM everything I could to see who it was,
right.
man. I'm
Right.
sorry, but I always go back and fix it later.
Yeah. Yeah. So now you know. Now all the listeners know.
Yeah, going to that event was in person was really something. Final About 4 was the first one I intended it being there actually, and man,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's one of the best events I've ever been to in
It's
America,
a
hands
vibe out
down.
there. It's you don't get that feeling at any drift event, any other drift event.
Yeah,
Those final bout events have something about them.
yeah. I don't mean to sound like cliche, but it's just really, it's a really experience, and I recommend anybody to go because everybody's really friendly.
Yeah.
No one's cocky like I'm the best driver. Or, God, everybody's
Yeah.
there to help if you're having a
Yeah.
problem. People try to find parts for you, help
Yeah.
wrench under your car, give you tips. It's just really that's what drifting is about. It
That's
isn't
right.
about being the best or being cocky or being a showboat. I mean, of course, it's a show, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's mainly about the community, and I say
Yeah.
that's mainly reason one of the main reasons why I've stayed involved. I haven't let it go. I just love the people. I love what it represents, and I'm a nut, man. I love it. Love
Yeah.
drifting to death.
Agreed, 100%. And on that note, Adam, thank you for joining me for this Storytime episode. I had a lot of fun just learning about things from you. We talked about a lot of things that I had no idea about. You're a good guy. I could see that, and appreciate all the help you've given me in the past. Appreciate your time today. I'm glad that you walked away from that accident with a new perspective on life, and I'm glad you're still here,
Well, thank
doing
you.
good things. Yeah.
Well, saying back at you, Vincent, man, I've been a long time fan of you. When I first saw you in Grip Video back in the day, in all the
Oh my
old
gosh. We don't
magazines.
we don't talk about that.
But seriously, man, I always was a fan of your driving style.
Thank
I
you.
was sad I didn't get to see you in Formula D Atlanta. I saw everybody else, but again, it was the very first Formula D ever, and you might
Yeah.
have been eating your, you know, we didn't know how to just
It was
missed you by
hot, man.
chance.
I was
Yeah.
in a I was in an air conditioned rental a lot of times.
Oh, you were? I saw your car.
Yeah.
I went by there. I looked
Yeah.
for it. It's like, oh, he's not here. But I saw everybody else. I was like, oh, but I really want to see Benson. But
Yeah.
it's funny
It's
how
hot out.
life takes a full turnaround, and we ended up
Yeah.
connecting.
And we're still involved.
Yeah, that's one thing, man. Life is really funny. You never know who you're gonna connect with in life or what you're gonna
Yeah.
do or experience. So
Yeah.
live it up always, and don't take it
Yeah.
for granted.
Agreed. Agreed 100%. All right, man. Thanks for coming on. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Have a good one, dude.
All right.
Bye.
Are you a good storyteller and have a good drifting related story to tell? You gotta fill out an application at podcast.sil80mania.com. In the upper right, there's a link called Storytime app. Fill it out, and I'll be looking forward to reading it. And if you're watching on YouTube and you enjoyed the podcast, do what my boys from Auto Factory Realize say and make sure to like that smash button and hit subscribe. Thank you guys for listening.